This picture's a little different from all of the light-based experimentation I've been doing recently in that it really doesn't show a lot of the object itself. A lot of the pictures I've been taking show a much broader view of whatever it is I'm photographing, whether it's a video game controller or a camera lens or cell phone. It's just a lot of wider shots or maybe farther away shots, because these are all shot with my 105 millimeter macro lens. So none of them are really that wide, but farther away shots of an entire object. This is the first one that is deliberately maybe obscuring the object a little bit. And that was an intentional choice. I was really playing around with how to photograph this black object. This is my Fuji X100F camera that I used to talk about a lot here on the blog before I got my macro lens and now before I got these Nanlite Pavo tubes. And I was toying around with how to photograph this thing. And I've learned that it's difficult to photograph a black subject in a way that in the same way that you could photograph a white subject. So like a white video game controller versus a black cell phone. It's going to be two very different things to light that object. And veterans of photography lighting know this, but I'm learning it for the first time. So it's been cool to experiment with all this. And I first wanted to take a picture of the knobs and dials, like the ISO dial and the exposure compensation dial on the top of this camera. But it just wasn't, like, it didn't speak to me. It just wasn't working. So then I thought, well, maybe I'll try the front of this camera. And that's when things really started to come together. I used, I think, two lights for this shot. I should have paid better attention. I think I used two lights as I remember this shot, as I record the audio here. And one is a purple light and one is an orange light. And that was deliberately to create this color contrast that you see. So purple and yellow are a little more opposite on the color wheel. And so when you put those two together, it makes a really interesting looking shot. But the challenge wasn't necessarily what colors to use, but more like where to place those colors. And I stood here holding these lights, like kind of one in my left hand, one in my right hand, and just sort of moving them around. I'd take one shot and move it around and then move the lights around, then take another shot, move the lights around, and just try that over and over until I got what you see here. And I really like the way that you've got the purple from the left to the top left to the bottom right, and then the orange from the top right to the bottom left, kind of creating this cross or this X. And then you can actually see a bit of reflection of the lights in the lens, the glass of the lens. And I'm really happy with both the lighting and the focus. The focus is right on the name, and everything else is pretty well obscured except for that number 2 up on top. So even if you don't know anything about cameras, you get the sense that this is a camera. There's really not much else it could be. And even if you don't know what those numbers are or what the words mean, which I don't even know what the word Fujinon means. I guess that's almost embarrassed to admit it. After years and years of shooting with this Fuji camera, maybe Fujinon is like the term for the lens or something. I don't know. But you get the sense that this is a camera lens. And it was really fun to experiment with all of these elements, the overall composition, how close or far, and the lights and the colors and what's in and not in focus. So this is a really fun photo to take.